This editor tutorial is going to be a quick in-depth look at how to make a wave spawn system. Wave spawn systems are useful when you want to make a cooperative game against an AI opponent, or if you want to make something such as a MOBA or a tower defense game. We won't be going into waves in the same sense as those, where Wave 1 and Wave 2 and Wave 3 may be entirely different units. Instead, what we're going to do is show a very simple spawn system for waves and how you can use that and adjust that into a more expert form that you can then use later. So the primary way that you make wave systems is by using a train ability to train the worker or the unit that you want to build from a building, and then you make that, instead of costing gold, cost mana. So we're going to try something here. We're going to, yes, go to data, we're going to go to buildings, and we're going to make a copy of a wolf's den. Very common for wolves to actually be a spawn unit. They were used in Skirmishers 2.0 by Dragon Archer C and myself. Let's see, we're going to call this new spawn den. Excellent. And again, new spawn den. We're going to hit create. When we go to new spawn den, it doesn't really matter what else it does, but we're going to be sure to do one thing very particularly. We want this building to train, we want it to be under the control of the computer, and we want it to train, let's say, wolves and snakes in alternate fashions, as waves of units. However, we need to copy the trainability in order to do that. Again, you can use the existing fields. You can use some of the existing fields. However, there are some peculiarities that occur if you decide not to use the existing field. Like, if you decide to use the existing fields, it may become the case that it becomes impossible for you to, I don't know, change the armor of a unit for some reason. That's very difficult to understand and debug. This is why, as a general rule, it's a good idea to make a copy of whatever the command is that you want to make, or a copy of the unit that you want to modify, and then go from there. So we're going to just call this new wolf, because that's all it is. It's a wolf that's new. Okay, and then we're also going to create a copy of trained snake. Come on. No. There we go. Cool, and we're going to call this new snake. New snake. Now that we've created both of those, we're going to add a period to them so that they can be found very easily. When we go to buildings again, they're going to be up at the top. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want it to make a snake. We want it to make a... Ooh, we don't have our new units yet. Okay. So, we have to make a copy now of our units. So we're going to make... this is going to be called Spawn Wolf. And then we're going to create Spawn Snake. Now, even though we're going through the extra effort here to make these copies of existing fields, it's going to make a lot more sense once we make a couple of changes. And again, as a general rule of concept, it's a pretty good idea to make these new units, make these new abilities copied off of existing ones. If you don't do that, then you're going to run yourself into a world of pain if you run into anything that's not modifiable. So we're going to go ahead and call this Spawn Snake, and then of course we're going to call it as its name, Spawn Snake. We're going to add a period to it. Well, something we're going to do for both of these is we're going to make sure, okay, the mana ability for a new snake, we're going to remove the requirement, and we're going to remove this description, because it's not accurate, and we're going to make the unit type that it trains a Spawn Snake. And we're going to make it auto-cast this ability by default. Now we're going to go to the new wolf, and we're going to also make him auto-cast this ability by default, get rid of the description because it's inaccurate, and we have to make sure that we're spawning a type not of wolf, but of spawn wolf. Okay, excellent. Now, here's the final thing, well, one of the final things that we're going to do. This building new spawn den is still going to try and make wolves and snakes, so we have to get rid of the trained wolf and trained snake commands. Now we're going to go all the way down to the bottom. This is one of the benefits of making new things such as this. And it's going to try and use the commands new wolf and new snake. We can find them easily, not only because we just made them, but also because there is a period in front of them. The period doesn't affect the alphabetization of a command list, however, it does make it more visually distinct for you. The computer doesn't care, but our human eyes do. So excellent. The new spawn den, which is just a normal den, by the way, has all the same stats, except it has two new abilities. It has the ability to spawn a new wolf and a new snake. But there's actually nothing new about spawn snake and spawn wolf. So we're going to change that. First, we're going to get rid of the cost. We don't want the cost of this unit to be anything. Okay? Secondly, let's say that we want these units to spawn. We want these units to spawn in a certain wave-like fashion, right? We don't want them to just spawn, 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 spawn. So what we can do to make something like that, or the illusion of that appear, is that we can take both of those commands. We made them auto-cast by default. So it will try and cast New Snake and New Wolf at the same time. However, because it can't cast both of them at the same time, it will cast the one that has stronger priority, which I believe is New Wolf. It will try to spawn a spawn wolf. Okay, so we're going to go over here and we're going to take a look over at build time, because we don't want these units to take their normal build time. That doesn't create the illusion or the feeling that we want, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look for build time, and once we find it, we're going to change it to maybe every 7 seconds. Maybe every 5, just to give the idea. And we're going to go spawn wolf. We're going to do that same thing. We're going to change the build time to 5 seconds. Now, this will be the end of this very basic video. There will be a follow-up video if this video gets, let's say 5 likes. If this video gets 5 likes, then I'll make a more in-depth version of the spawn system. But right now, this is the spawn system that most people will have need of and will benefit from. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put these 3 wolf dens, new dens, we're going to call them, over here. And we're going to make them spawn units in this here direction. Okay? Sound good? All these units are going to spawn in this here direction, roughly. We're now going to make all of these enemy units. If everything has been done the way that we would hope it would be done, we're going to make it player 2, just, why not? Then we should have waves of wolf snake charging into, we're going to make these our units, don't worry. Cool. If it does not work, we will be able to walk over and find out why. But there is something that I'm thinking of right now that would be quite relevant, and that is as follows. We want to make sure that we don't run into supply issues, because although we have cut the gold cost and the build time of our spawn snake and spawn wolf, we have not actually affected their supply. So we're going to make their supply 0. By making it the supply 0, the computer will never actually run into the full length of supply. We're going to give red player a house, just so that when we upload this map, the red player doesn't die immediately. Cool. We're going to create some doodads. None of this is necessary, but, we don't want the player thinking that they can go explore everywhere else when there is this house that they need to defend. And also, the benefit of a tutorial such as this is that you need to keep it tightly constrained. So we're going to do that. We're going to implement the constraint. Wonderful. We're going to add some superfluous ones here. This feels good. Okay. Now, we're going to go to, not data, we're going to go to map settings. And we're going to call this, I don't know, spawn, wave spawn basic. Basic wave-like spawning system in LittleWarGame. And we're going to make the starting goal 0, because it doesn't matter. The starting minimum mining distance does not matter. We want player 1 to be the red player, and we want the computer to be on team 2. Excellent. And we're going to close the rest of these. And you do this because you don't want players having to guess what role they're supposed to have, what team they're supposed to be on, etc. We're going to leave this map unlocked. It's modded. And we're going to set the supply to, I think we're just going to make the, supply, I don't know. It doesn't quite matter, but we'll make it 50. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit test, and we're going to see if this works. So, wave spawn basic. We hit the test. It looks like those buildings are training, and they did it. They made all of the units. Now, these wolves are not moving to the place that we would like them to, because, they have an A-move command. They cannot see the place that they are trying to go. But, notice what we have here. It looks like we are spawning these units in waves. Most excellent. In fact, if we pull the units back over here so that they are in attack position, we will see that these units are behaving pretty wave-like, right? So, how do we make sure that we iron out one of the tiny kinks of this? There. We're going to do this. We're going to do, let's say, this and this and this. We're going to go to data. And we're going to go to buildings. We're going to check something I may be wrong about. And we are not wrong about it. So if this is true, and if this, may not be able to read the tooltip, but buildings have a thing called a spawn with a move. If this is true, this unit produces will use a move command when spawning walks the waypoint instead of normal move. The kind of freaky, janky interaction that we saw before was a consequence of those wolves and snakes attempting to attempting to move instead of a move. Now that they're going to a move, they're going to move and interact with the player in a much smoother fashion, a much more reasonable fashion. Okay, we're gonna put up one more minor trick here. I think that they spawn a little bit too quickly, but that's not too bad. We're going to go to buildings, and we're going to make these dens something I call a beat, a void target. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to new spawn den, right? We don't want it to be destructible, so we want it to be invincible, invisible, okay, can't be seen, and no show. And if we have invincible, invisible, no show, the player cannot actually see, like, look, you can't see what these are. You might be able to bump into them to determine what they are, but you won't know that they're there by default. So we're going to go ahead and test wave spawn basic, and here we go. Okay, let's see if the units act in a derpy fashion this time. Oh, it seems like they're actually microing properly, unlike me. Okay, excellent. We're going to move this soldier out of the way. And here we go. Like, now, it does look a little weird because the units are just spawning out of nowhere, but this is wave spawn basic. This is what we've come up with. And as I said, if I get 5 likes on this video, I will make a more in-depth wave spawn video. For now, it just didn't seem like it was worth a comparative hassle. But you can use this basic information to make any number of games as we start the process of uploading it. You can use this to make any kind of game that you want. You can use it to make tower defenses and MOBAs and any kind of co-op wave AI game. Anything like that is possible with a small bit of extra application of this wave spawn system.